Chapter 1981. Luo Qingtong immediately understood the meaning behind Bai Suqing's words. She smiled and said, "Mistress, I know what you want to say." She said to Bai Suqing, "It's true that I can dissolve that violent power for anyone. But I wouldn't do it for others like you, mistress." The moment Luo Qingtong said that, Bai Suqing immediately sensed the meaning behind her words. She won't do it, not can't do it. In other words, Luo Qingtong could transform the force for others like she did, but she was unwilling to do it. Bai Suqing understood in her heart. "Okay, I'll help you smooth things over." Bai Suqing was surprised that Luo Qingtong had such a magical ability to transform the violent force into their own strength. But since Luo Qingtong was unwilling to expose it, Bai Suqing would not force her. She would not pry into her secret. This was one of the most basic principles of being a human. Moreover, Luo Qingtong had helped her. Moreover, she had helped the Grand Supreme Dean to recover his cultivation. Without her, she and Zhu Yi would not be able to continue their relationship. Bai Suqing naturally respected Luo Qingtong's decision. As for the faction, it was enough that Luo Qingtong could dissolve the violent force. In this way they would have a guarantee when they walked in the forbidden area. As long as they could remove the force in time, it would not affect their cultivation at all. There was no need to transform the force into their own strength. In that case, wouldn't everyone fight to be the first to enter the forbidden area and hope that the force could invade their bodies? As Bai Suqing thought of this, she was shocked. She suddenly understood why Luo Qingtong said she won't do it. This ability was really too heaven-defying. If Luo Qingtong announced that she had such an ability to transform the violent force into a cultivator's strength. If that was the case, the sect would do everything in their power to keep her in the sect, so that she could become a strength converter for them. After all, as long as Luo Qingtong was there, she could convert the terrifying power into strength. Wouldn't that be faster than cultivating on his own? Luo Qingtong's ability was too heaven-defying. Bai Suqing didn't know how Luo Qingtong did it, but once this ability was exposed, it would inevitably cause an uproar. It could be said that the other party trusted her and the Grand Supreme Dean very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have exposed such a big secret in order to save her. Wasn't she afraid that he would tell others about this? Bai Suqing's heart was moved. What she didn't know was that since Luo Qingtong dared to expose it, she wasn't afraid that she would tell others. Moreover, she believed in her own judgment. At the very least, she had misjudged him. Wasn't there still Yi Qianxian? The man said that Luo Qingtong didn't need to hide her ability when she was by his side. She could use it whenever she wanted. Chapter 1982. Luo Qingtong looked at Bai Suqing and smiled. "Thank you, mistress." Since Bai Suqing was so protective of her, she naturally wouldn't let her suffer. "I'm willing to help the Sky Yuan sect neutralize the strange power from the Forbidden Zone. Of course, this is all for the sake of Mistress and the Grand Supreme Dean." Also, Luo Qingtong smiled and said, "I have another team. When we enter the land of the deceased immortals, I hope to be able to join the Sky Yuan sect's team. The Sky Yuan sect will provide the immortal jade bones that they will use to enter the land of the deceased immortals. In exchange." Luo Qingtong smiled at Bai Suqing and said, "I will purify the power of the immortal jade bones for the Sky Yuan sect's people. The immortal jade bones needed to enter the land of the deceased immortals. The stronger the cultivator was and the longer they stayed in the land of the deceased immortals, the better the quality and quantity of the immortal jade bones. This was the only way to perfectly resist the corrosive aura in the land of the deceased immortals. Luo Qingtong couldn't be with Su Yu and the others all the time. The Breeze Pavilion's resources were definitely not enough to support Su Yu and the others to stay in the land of the deceased immortals for too long. To put it bluntly, the immortal jade bones might not even be enough for Luo Qingtong alone. However, with the support of the Sky Yuan sect, Luo Qingtong didn't have to worry so much. As for purifying the power of the immortal jade bones, this was a win-win situation for Luo Qingtong. There was nothing to hide. The more immortal jade bones the Sky Yuan sect obtained, the more immortal jade bones she needed to purify, the more luxuriant the ancient heavenly spirit would grow. Luo Qingtong also realized that as the ancient heavenly spirit would grow, the ancient heavenly spirit would begin to grow. After the 10th leaf grew, its growth slowed down. It had yet to grow an 11th leaf. Perhaps the death chi in the immortal jade bones was no longer enough to nourish it. Under such circumstances, Luo Qingtong naturally needed more immortal jade bones to purify it. And the Heavenly Yuan sect was an excellent way to do so. The moment Luo Qingtong's words left her mouth, Bai Suqing and the Grand Supreme Dean gasped. Especially the Grand Supreme Dean. He finally understood why the people of the Breeze Pavilion had refused to let go of Luo Qingtong and the others. After that, the people of Celestial Palace could not help but show up. So it was because Luo Qingtong could purify the immortal jade bone? He had thought that they were here for the immortal jade bone in the space at the bottom of the cliff. Oh my god. How many more abilities does this evil Dr. Kid have? At this moment, Bai Suqing was glad that she was in her boudoir and had set up layers of barriers to ask Luo Qingtong. Are you sure you can purify the power of the immortal jade bone? She asked in disbelief. The impact of this matter on her was no less than when Luo Qingtong was able to dissolve and transform the power in her body for her. I'm sure. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she took out a piece of immortal jade bone that she had purified and showed it to Bai Suqing. Master's wife, look. Damn. No wonder that Kid Ma Chenye's strength has soared recently, as if he was injected with chicken blood. Did you give these things to him as well? The Grand Supreme Dean stared at her. This evil Dr. Kid actually did not tell him about such good things. And Ma Chenye, that stinky kid, actually kept it from him all this time. Luo Qingtong smiled but did not say anything. She did not give it to the Grand Supreme Dean because she was wary of him. Chapter 1983. He was the Grand Dean of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin. If she gave it to him, what would he do if the people of the academy asked her for it? Luo Qingtong didn't have so much stock to give it to him. She could give it to Ma Chenye because he defended her without hesitation when Feng Yuan attacked the two dynasties. If the Empire of Qin hadn't diverted some of Great Yang's attention at that time. With all the armies pressing on the border, the people of Great Chu wouldn't have been able to hold on until she came back. Luo Qingtong had to return this favor. As for the others, she couldn't care so much. Luo Qingtong was very clear about the difference between her own people and others. Okay, I know. The Grand Dean was depressed. At this moment he also understood why Luo Qingtong didn't give it to him. She was afraid that he would use it for personal gain. But it was very likely that he would do so at that time. After all, he had deliberately made Yi Qianxian an instructor for the students of the Sacred Academy. Thinking of this, the Grand Dean suddenly snorted and didn't say a word. After confirming that the purified celestial jade bone given by Luo Qingtong was correct, Bai Suqing immediately took a deep breath and said to Luo Qingtong, "Little Qingtong, this is really a big deal." She deliberated for a moment and then said to Luo Qingtong, "I have to discuss this with my father. In addition, when the time comes, use Zhu Yi's and my name to announce to the public that you shouldn't interfere. We will sever all ties with you regarding this matter," Bai Suqing said resolutely. This wasn't to take advantage of Luo Qingtong or to take the credit from Luo Qingtong. It was to protect Luo Qingtong. This was a big deal. If it was said that Luo Qingtong had dissolved the violent energy in their bodies, it was still within the scope of medical skills. But the matter of the purified celestial jade bone, anyone who knew about it would want to get a share of it. Even within the Heavenly Yuan sect, there were many disagreements, not to mention the outside world. In the face of absolute benefits, there would definitely be people who would have ideas about Luo Qingtong. Bai Suqing put this matter under her and the dean's name in order to protect Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong smiled and nodded. When she told Bai Suqing about this matter, she already knew that Bai Suqing would make such an arrangement. Although she was not afraid of any threats, it was better to avoid trouble. She appreciated Bai Suqing's arrangement. Then I'll have to trouble mistress. It's no trouble. Bai Suqing heaved a sigh of relief. Then she smiled at Luo Qingtong and said, "Regarding this matter, our Heavenly Yuan sect has taken advantage of you. Zhu Yi has been unreliable all his life, but today he is finally reliable for once." Bai Suqing's words made the Grand Supreme Dean's lips twitch. No one would diss themselves like that. In front of the younger generation, did he still want his face? There was a burst of grief in the Grand Supreme Dean's heart. However, he was already a henpecked husband. In front of Bai Suqing he was a coward. He didn't dare to utter a word. He just kept muttering with his mouth, "Who is unreliable? Who is unreliable? Can I fool you if I'm unreliable?" Luo Qingtong looked at his muttering appearance and found it funny. The Grand Supreme Dean probably didn't know that she could read lips? Should he tell this to Master's wife? Luo Qingtong thought about it seriously. The Grand Supreme Dean still didn't know that he was on the verge of death. He was still muttering. Chapter 1984. With their help, Luo Qingtong was happy and relaxed. She even asked about Su Yu and the others. When the land of the deceased immortals opened, she was going to pick them up and go to the land of the deceased immortals together. After knowing that Su Yu and the others were most likely in the Breeze Pavilion, which had been destroyed by Luo Qingtong, Bai Suqing waved her hand and asked people to support Su Yu and the others in the name of the Sky Yuan sect. In the future, the land in the Breeze Pavilion would belong to Tianxia openly. Her action would save Su Yu and the others a lot of trouble in the future. At least they didn't have to worry about the forces and sects under the Breeze Pavilion being dissatisfied, saving Su Yu and the others the trouble of making a move. The rest of the time could be used for cultivation. While Bai Suqing and the others were busy dealing with all kinds of things, Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian stayed in the courtyard. Luo Qingtong borrowed many books about the land of the deceased immortals from the Sky Yuan sect's library. Soon she learned a lot about the land of the deceased immortals, including the valley that the people of the beast-taming King's Valley always went to. Broken Star Valley. Luo Qingtong's lips curved slightly. She closed the book in her hand. It was an open secret that the people of the beast-taming King's Valley always went to the Broken Star Valley every time they entered the land of the deceased immortals. But that place was always heavily surrounded by the people of the beast-taming King's Valley. Other people couldn't enter even if they wanted to. They only knew that it was called the Broken Star Valley. Other than that, they knew nothing about it. They didn't even know what the people of the beast-taming King's Valley were doing. But Luo Qingtong knew. The secret of the fifth beast-taming art. Luo Qingtong chuckled. She had a hunch that the fifth beast-taming art was the purest part of the beast-taming King's Valley's beast-taming art. And the previous 4 beast-taming arts were all flawed. As long as he could find the fifth incantation, he would be able to make up for the flaws of the first 4 incantations. If she wanted to help the golden-winged great condor and the others break their contracts with the beast-taming King's Valley, the key point should be the fifth beast-taming art. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. Once she found the fifth beast-taming incantation, she would return the grudge of the beast-taming King's Valley, as well as Luo Jinghong's, to the beast-taming King's Valley. Time passed quickly. After Luo Qingtong had stayed in the Sky Yuan sect for almost half a month, an extremely bright light suddenly erupted from the place where the fallen immortals were. Then the aura on the other side began to vibrate. Rumble. Following the vibrations of those auras, the black mist that shrouded the land of the fallen immortals began to shrink and fade. The ferocious yin qi in the surroundings also began to weaken under this violent tremor. Little girl Qingtong, Bai Suqing and Grand Supreme Dean appeared in Luo Qingtong's courtyard. They were followed by a group of disciples of the Sky Yuan sect. "We can go to the land of the fallen immortals now," she said to Luo Qingtong. Bai Suqing was dressed in a light green robe today. She was full of heroic spirit and didn't lose her gentle beauty. The aura around her body was even more solid than when she broke through previously. Obviously, during this period of time, someone helped her to consolidate her strength. Otherwise, with Bai Suqing's body that had just recovered, it was impossible for her to consolidate her strength so quickly. Chapter 1985. Sure enough, just as Luo Qingtong was thinking, Bai Suqing said, "My father has come out of seclusion and wants to see you." Luo Qingtong, don't be nervous. My father is very easy to talk to. In addition, we will also announce the fact that you can purify the power of the immortal jade bone today. Of course, we will hide your information and use Zhu Yi's and my name to replace it. Bai Suqing said to Luo Qingtong. Okay. Luo Qingtong nodded. Bai Suqing had already told her about this before. She did not have any objections. Okay. In addition, I have already sent people to pick up your subordinates. Don't worry. I have sent them to my father's trusted subordinates. Bai Suqing smiled. She already knew that Luo Qingtong had been given a hard time by those people sent by the Sky Yuan sect. It was not Luo Qingtong who told her, but she found out by herself. Those people were sent by Chen Tong to humiliate Luo Qingtong. He did not want Luo Qingtong to go up the mountain in the first place, so they were naturally arrogant. Those people who were going to pick up Su Yu were personally arranged by Bai Suqing, so there would not be any mistakes. The group of people chatted as they walked toward the main sect meeting hall of the Sky Yuan sect. As for the elders of the Heavenly Yuan sect, they were already waiting there. The sect master of the Sky Yuan sect sat at the top of the hall. When he saw Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian, he immediately nodded slightly at Luo Qingtong. Then, out of the intuition of an expert, he subconsciously glanced at Yi Qianxian. The latter's handsome face was hidden behind a dark golden mask. His face was expressionless and he did not look at the people present. He just sat beside Luo Qingtong with Bai Suqing. After the Heaven Branch sect master glanced at Yi Qianren, he was unable to see through Yi Qianren's cultivation level due to his own cultivation level. Just like Bai Suqing, he thought that Yi Qianxian and Luo Qingtong were the same students of the Grand Supreme Dean. It was just that his cultivation was low and he couldn't see through it. Therefore he didn't pay attention to Yi Qianxian anymore. He looked at Luo Qingtong and asked, "Miss Luo, do you mind if I call you Qingtong?" His expression was gentle, and he looked at Luo Qingtong like an elder. This was because he had watched the Grand Supreme Dean grow up. To the sect master of the Tianyuan sect, the students of the great chief were no different from his descendants. Luo Qingtong looked at him and smiled, "Yes, sect master." She nodded at the sect master of the Tianyuan sect in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. This attitude instantly attracted the attention of the elders of the Sky Yuan sect. Previously, when Luo Qingtong criticized Qintong in front of them, she was not so magnanimous. As the crowd thought so, they suddenly thought that Luo Qingtong did this on purpose to deal with Qintong. The latter was so angry that his eyes turned red. Qintong was also among the elders at this time. This was a major event of the Tianyuan sect, and it was impossible for him not to be present. At this time his expression was very bad. He looked at Luo Qingtong and the others with gritted teeth. Especially when he looked at the Grand Supreme Dean, he was so angry that his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. After Qintong fainted, he was carried back to his place, but he had not fulfilled the promise he owed. The Grand Supreme Dean went to his place every day to find him and make him fulfill his promise. Chapter 1986. Moreover, in order to embarrass Luo Qingtong and the others, he had used his spiritual energy to amplify his voice so that everyone within a few hundred meters could hear him clearly. Under such circumstances, how could Qintong conceal it? He had no choice but to do as the Grand Supreme Dean said. Immediately, the news of Elder Qintong crawling on the ground like a dog and crawling around the Sky Yuan sect spread like wildfire in the Sky Yuan sect. Qintong's reputation was completely ruined. The Grand Supreme Dean was reinstated as the first disciple of the Sky Yuan sect under the request of the elders. Hearing this news, Qintong was so angry that he trembled and vomited 3 liters of blood. He had been lying in his room for nearly half a month. When he heard that the aura of the land of the deceased immortals had weakened and that it was about to open, he got up and went to the land of the deceased immortals. He had lost the initiative in the previous matter and could not miss the opening of the land of the deceased immortals again. Otherwise, if the Grand Supreme Dean and the others obtained any opportunities, he would really be finished. Among them, Luo Qingtong was the one that Qintong hated more than the Grand Supreme Dean. If it were not for her, the Grand Supreme Dean would not have had such an easy time under his scheme. Not to mention being able to suppress him. However, who would have thought that one wrong step would lead to another wrong step after step? He had underestimated Luo Qingtong and was humiliated by her until he could not turn the tables. Qintong was furious. However, Luo Qingtong was the one who could heal Bai Suqing's injuries. A group of Heavenly Yuan sect's elders protected her. They even gave her the honorary guest elder token that Bai Suqing had requested. He could not do anything to her at all. His status as an elder of the Sky Yuan sect did not have the slightest advantage in front of her. Thinking of this, Qintong was even more furious. And when he found out that Luo Qingtong most likely had the intention to offend him back then, the anger and resentment in his heart soared to the sky. He clenched his fists tightly and looked at Luo Qingtong with bloodshot eyes. He was so angry that he panted heavily. Luo Qingtong could not be bothered with him. Qintong was no longer a threat to her. It wasn't easy to make a move in the Sky Yuan sect. Once they entered the land of the fallen immortals, she would have plenty of ways to deal with him. Qintong also had the same idea. The honorary guest elder token could at most protect Luo Qingtong for a while. When they entered the land of the deceased immortals, they would be surrounded by dangers and he would have plenty of opportunities to kill her. Hold it in. Qintong's heart was filled with hatred. He forcefully suppressed the anger in his eyes and lowered his head. Chapter 1987. Don't worry, Elder Mu. Bai Suqing looked at him with a smile and said, "This is indeed true." As she spoke, she took out the immortal jade bones that Luo Qingtong had purified for them during this period of time. Seeing that the celestial jade bones were sparkling and translucent without any impurities, the elders of the Heavenly Yuan sect all sucked in a deep breath. No one doubted Bai Suqing's words anymore. Everyone looked at the purified immortal jade bones with ecstasy. Such pure and translucent energy could be directly absorbed to enhance one's strength. If Bai Suqing and Zhu Yi had discovered this secret, wouldn't it mean that the strength of the Sky Yuan sect would be greatly enhanced? The Grand Supreme Dean and Bai Suqing had concealed the matter regarding Luo Qingtong and only said that they had discovered this secret by chance. The people of the Breeze Pavilion were dead, and the 3 guardians of the celestial palace were also not present. No one would know that what they had said was false. The elders of the Sky Yuan sect all believed it. At this point they were firmly on the side of the Grand Supreme Dean and Bai Suqing. As for Qin Tong, he almost collapsed to the ground. He was still plotting how to regain the position of the chief disciple of the Sky Yuan sect. Now he had suffered such a strong blow. Now that the Grand Supreme Dean and Bai Suqing had such a secret, how could he have a chance to be promoted in the Sky Yuan sect in the future? Qin Tong's heart turned cold. But soon he pulled himself together again. No, there was still one last chance. This time, there were traces of the treasure map in the land of the fallen immortals. As long as he could obtain the legendary treasure and the divine beast's acknowledgement in the land of the fallen immortals, not to mention the Sky Yuan sect, even the entire hidden world would respect him. At that time in the entire hidden world, only the people of the Star Alliance Palace could make him slightly wary. At that time he wanted the Grand Supreme Dean, Bai Suqing and Luo Qingtong to die miserably. Qin Tong thought viciously. After the initial ecstasy, the elders of the Sky Yuan sect also thought of the location of the forbidden area. Their strength required the power of higher-grade immortal jade bones in order to be able to increase. That kind of immortal jade bone could only be found in that forbidden area. Only once in a while would 1 or 2 of them reach the periphery. But now, because of Luo Qingtong, they could enter the forbidden area without worrying about suffering such terrible injuries. Even if they didn't obtain any treasures after entering, just the immortal jade bones alone were enough to make one's eyes go red with envy. Besides them, no one else knew about all of this. As the crowd thought about it, they became even more ecstatic. They looked at Luo Qingtong, the Grand Supreme Dean, and the others with even more satisfaction. Even when Bai Suqing suggested that Luo Qingtong's team should join their Sky Yuan sect, no one objected. As for Qin Tong, he wanted to object, but was there anyone willing to listen to him? He could only stand aside and watch the elders of the Sky Yuan sect, Luo Qingtong, the Grand Supreme Dean, and the others talk and laugh. The jealousy and hatred in his eyes were almost mixed with poison. After everything was settled, the Sky Yuan sect master immediately announced the departure of the Sky Yuan sect's team. Chapter 1988. Those who went to the land of the fallen immortals this time were the elites of all realms. After the competition, the top 100 disciples of all realms would participate. It could be said that the entire foundation of the Heavenly Yuan sect was here. As for the other sects in the hidden world, they were all the same. Except for the first-class sects of the same level, the strength and foundation of the other sects were not as strong as the Heavenly Yuan sect. Therefore, the number of disciples of all realms they brought was slightly more. Some low-level sects even sent all their members. In the hidden world, where the land of the fallen immortals was, a group of people gathered at the entrance where the aura was the weakest. When the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect arrived, Su Yu and the others were already waiting there. Master. Seeing Luo Qingtong and the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect, Su Yu and the others immediately surrounded them. Yes. Luo Qingtong nodded calmly. Then she found that their strength had increased compared to when she left. Su Yu and Sima Ju were already high-level Saint Generals. Ling Tianhan, Little Overlord Yuan, Ling Yu, and the others had also broken through to the Saint Generals. Only Su Xiaoxiao the alchemist was still at the Saint Master realm. However, she was already at the peak of the Saint Master realm. The people from the Heavenly Diabolism were almost all at the Saint Master realm. Only a few of them were at the peak of the Saint Master realm. This was all because when Bai Suqing sent people to find them, they brought along the immortal jade bones that Luo Qingtong had purified for them in the Heavenly Yuan sect. In addition to the deterrence of the Heavenly Yuan sect, Su Yu and the others had more time to cultivate in the Breeze Pavilion. When the land of the fallen immortals opened, he and the others had improved their strength by a little. When Luo Qingtong and Su Yu reunited, Bei Qing, Feng Yu and the others walked out from the crowd and walked toward Yi Chenxian in the Heavenly Yuan sect. Master. They reported in a low voice, the aura here repels people from the outer realms. It's the consciousness formed by the outer realm experts. We can't enter. They had already arrived at the land of the fallen immortals, only to discover that they were not allowed to enter this place. Because Yi Chenxian and the others would come later, they did not go to the Tianyuan sect to look for Yi Chenxian and Luo Qingtong. Yes. Yi Chenxian's expression was indifferent. He had already heard about this from Bai Suqing. He raised his head and looked at the land of the fallen immortals. He could vaguely feel that there was an aura inside that was repelling them. If they forced their way in, those who were not strong enough would be killed. The more powerful ones would destroy the land of the fallen immortals and cause it to collapse. Sure enough, everything was as Bai Suqing had said. Chapter 1989. A group of people walked in from the periphery of the land of the fallen immortals. Their imposing manner was vast and mighty, extremely swift and fierce. Seeing this, the surrounding crowd immediately retreated to the sides, revealing a path for them to pass through. It's the people from beast-taming King's Valley. The surrounding people discussed one after another. Yes. Their imposing manner is so vigorous. These people's auras are all very strong. The strength of those demonic beasts is even stronger. As the crowd spoke, they raised their heads and looked at the group of demonic beasts descending from the sky. The group of golden-winged eagles and other demonic beasts retracted their wings and hooves, landing beside beast-taming King Guguju and the others. The surrounding people were once again pushed further away by the strong winds that rose up in all directions. A large open space was revealed. When Luo Qingtong heard this wave of discussion, she had already looked towards the place where the people from beast-taming King's Valley came in. Seeing this scene, she immediately raised her eyebrows. The way the people from beast-taming King's Valley entered was quite arrogant. And when Luo Qingtong looked towards the direction of the people from beast-taming King's Valley, at the place where the people from beast-taming King's Valley were, beast-taming King Guguju and Grand Elder and the others all had gloomy faces. Beside them was Fang Jingyu, who had an equally sinister and vicious expression. When Luo Qingtong's identity was exposed and she broke out of the encirclement with Yi Qianxian, she had already been released by beast-taming King Guguju and the others. When Luo Qingtong's identity was exposed, knowing that she was an enemy, Fang Jingyu, who had always been against Luo Qingtong, naturally had no problems. Not only that, she was more forward-looking than anyone else, knowing that there was a problem with Luo Qingtong. The Dark Elder of beast-taming King's Valley scolded beast-taming King Guguju and the others. Then with a cold face he released Fang Jingyu from the dungeon. After all, he was also at fault. How did he fall into that slut's trap? If not for this, Luo Qingtong would never have been able to enter the 12th floor of the scripture pavilion so easily, or even the 13th floor. The group of people had lost so much face in their own valley, and even more they were made a fool of by Luo Qingtong outside, offending a group of first-class sects and even people from the Star Alliance Hall. They really couldn't help but be angry, so it would be strange if their complexions were good right now. Father, Elder N and the others said that as long as that bitch comes to participate in the opening of the land of the fallen immortals, they will be able to find her. Is this a problem? Fang Jingyu's expression was cold. She ignored the discussions around her and walked with the beast tamer King Guguju and the others towards the entrance of the land of the deceased immortals. He asked the beast tamer King Guguju coldly as he walked. She no longer had any affection for her father, but this didn't prevent her from dealing with Luo Qingtong together with him. That bitch. Night-eye. The coldness and anger in Fang Jingyu's eyes were almost tangible. That's right, unless she doesn't come. Otherwise, Elder N and the others will be able to find her. The beast tamer King Guguju's expression was cold. He didn't have the heart to have a deep father-daughter relationship with Fang Jingyu. The relationship between the two of them had long been broken. How could it be healed just like that? Moreover, although he was also at fault this time, he didn't care. Chapter 1990. If it hadn't been for the incident in the Beast Garden, they wouldn't have been fooled so deeply by Luo Qingtong. In his heart, the beast-taming King Valley Master blamed most of his mistakes on Fang Jingyu. If she didn't hate Luo Qingtong to the bone, he wouldn't have brought her to the land of the deceased immortals. When Guguju and the others entered the entrance of the land of the deceased immortals, Luo Qingtong suddenly felt that something was wrong. Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others had been looking left and right ever since they entered. Who were they looking for? Herself. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. When she was in the Beast Tamer Valley, she had deliberately disguised herself. Yi Qianxian had changed from a fox to a human form in a hurry and revealed his true appearance. But this time his face was covered with a mask. How could the people of the Beast Tamer Valley find them? Could it be, as Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes, on a mountain peak not far away, Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed. Elder and led a group of people from the Beast Tamer Valley's dark tribe to set up a formation at the entrance of the land of the deceased immortals. Elder, most of the forces in the land of the deceased immortals have gathered here. An elder of the dark tribe said in a deep voice. The aura in the land of the deceased immortals was getting weaker and weaker. It wouldn't be long before they could enter. Most of the people in the hidden world who should be here had already arrived. Good. Elder An's face was cold. He looked at the entrance of the land of the deceased immortals with cold eyes. He had to make up for the mistakes he had made before. Do it. As his voice rang out, the group of Dark Tribe members immediately poured their power into the formation they had set up. In an instant, an invisible ray of light shot up to the sky. The Dark Tribe had been in charge of the secret place in the back mountain of the Beast Tamer Valley for such a long time. It was impossible for them not to take any measures to protect the secret place. Luo Qingtong moved the holy book on the 13th floor, although nothing could be seen normally. However, a faintly discernible aura had already imperceptibly infected her. This aura could only be manifested by using a special formation of the Dark Department in conjunction with a certain technique of the Beast Taming King Valley. Furthermore, it took a very long time to do so, and the range of its detection was also limited. Unless it was in a place like the Land of the Fallen Immortals, where everyone was gathered, it was completely useless. Because of this, the Beast Taming King's Valley had a belly full of anger. Now he could finally vent it out. As soon as this formation appeared, unless Luo Qingtong was not among the people below who were going to the land of the deceased immortals. Otherwise she definitely wouldn't be able to dodge. Just as Eldarin and the others were thinking, whoosh. The beam of light shot into the sky from the formation and landed among the group of people heading to the land of the fallen immortals. The entire entrance to the land of the deceased immortals was illuminated. This light could only be seen by those who practiced the Beast Taming King Valley's special technique. In their eyes, after the light shrouded the crowd at the entrance of the land of the fallen immortal, it landed on Luo Qingtong in the Tianyuan sect. The girl's figure was completely covered in a layer of light. Bitch. She's really here. The eyes of the Beast Taming King Guguju and the Grand Elder turned red when they saw Luo Qingtong's figure. He looked just like a furious beast from the beast battle arena. His eyes were bloodshot and his face was ferocious. Chapter 1991. At this moment a hand stopped her. Wait, check her identity first. Beast Tamer King Guguju's expression was cold. His eyes swept over the group of people from the Sky Yuan sect who were with Luo Qingtong, and they were extremely cold. This slut was actually with the people from the Sky Yuan sect? What she did to the people of Beast Tamer King's Valley, could it have been ordered by the Sky Yuan sect? And that so-called treasure map, was it in the hands of the Sky Yuan sect? As Beast Tamer King Guguju thought about this, his heart was extremely cold. As for Fang Jingyu, after seeing the people from the Sky Yuan sect who were with Luo Qingtong, her complexion turned ugly. Sky Yuan sect, a first-class sect of the hidden world. Their people from Beast Tamer King's Valley were the strongest among the first-class sections. But in this situation they had been framed by Luo Qingtong, and now they had a conflict with the people from the first-class sections. If they had to face the people from the Sky Yuan sect, they wouldn't be able to please them at all, let alone deal with Luo Qingtong. Damn it, this slut was actually from the Sky Yuan sect. Fang Jingyu's heart was filled with hatred. At this moment, the people from Beast Tamer King's Valley returned from their investigation. Valley Master, we've asked clearly. The other party isn't from the Sky Yuan sect, but a new honorary guest elder from the Sky Yuan sect. She came from the secular world. The person from Beast Tamer King's Valley who was responsible for the investigation reported all the information about Luo Qingtong. It was naturally impossible for the people of the Sky Yuan sect to let outsiders know all about Luo Qingtong. The news that they announced to the public was that Luo Qingtong had saved the Grand Principal a long time ago and became his student. That was why she was accepted into the Sky Yuan sect. The title of honorary guest elder was given to her by the Tianyuan sect leader because of his love for her. This was the information that the people from Beast Tamer King's Valley had investigated. Humph. A young girl from the secular world of the True Spill continent? Beast Tamer King Guguju's eyes were ice cold. This person was actually just a young girl from the True Spill continent? What a joke. How could someone from the secular world have such ability? The other party must have another identity. The Beast Tamer King Guguju didn't believe Luo Qingtong's identity at all. Thus, he didn't think about sending people to True Spill continent to take revenge. He looked coldly at Luo Qingtong. It was fine as long as the other party was not from the Sky Yuan sect. In his opinion, Luo Qingtong most likely relied on the method she used to infiltrate their Beast Taming King Valley to sneak into the Heavenly Yuan sect. Since this matter had nothing to do with the Sky Yuan sect, they could make a move on Luo Qingtong. Let's go. We'll make them hand over Luo Qingtong. At this moment, Beast Tamer King Guguju already knew Luo Qingtong's real name. He led the people from the Beast Taming King's Valley towards the Heaven Branch. Luo Qingtong had been paying attention to the movements of the people from the Beast Taming King's Valley. Seeing the people from the Beast Taming King's Valley walking towards her, she narrowed her eyes. If she didn't guess wrong, her identity should have been exposed. Although she didn't know how her identity was exposed, it was useless to say anything at this time. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. Seeing the people from the beast-taming King's Valley walk over, she immediately had Su Yu and the others move away from her. She wasn't afraid of the people from the beast-taming King's Valley coming to deal with her, but if Su Yu and the others were involved, it would be troublesome. Chapter 1992. Seeing the people from the beast-taming King's Valley walking towards the Heavenly Yuan sect, the crowd broke out into discussion. Look, the people from the beast-taming King's Valley are walking towards the Heavenly Yuan sect. What's going on? Are the people from the beast-taming King's Valley looking for trouble with the Heavenly Yuan sect? It can't be, right? The people from the beast-taming King's Valley are about to become the target of public criticism. Why are they looking for trouble with the Heavenly Yuan sect? Is there something wrong with their heads? The crowd lowered their voices as they discussed. They looked at the faces of the people from the beast-taming King's Valley. They didn't think that the people from the beast-taming King's Valley would ally with the Heavenly Yuan sect. Furthermore, the people from the beast-taming King's Valley had rejected the goodwill of the first-rate sects and even offended the people from the Star Alliance. Why would they ally with the Heavenly Yuan sect if they didn't hand over the treasure map of the fallen immortal land? They were clearly looking for trouble. The people from the Heavenly Yuan sect also noticed the people from the beast-taming King's Valley walking towards them. The Heavenly Yuan sect master and the rest frowned. They didn't know what the people from the beast-taming King's Valley were planning. Beast-taming King Guguju. The Heavenly Yuan sect master walked out of the crowd and faced the people from the beast-taming King's Valley. Behind him was a group of elders from the Heavenly Yuan sect. I wonder why the beast-taming King Guguju has brought people here? The Heavenly Yuan sect master was cautious. The people from the beast-taming King's Valley had always been domineering. What were they up to? This matter has nothing to do with you people from the Heavenly Yuan sect. The beast-taming King Guguju's face was cold. After knowing that Luo Qingtong wasn't from the Heavenly Yuan sect, he no longer had any worries in his heart. Luo Qingtong? His gaze was cold as he looked at the girl standing beside the Grand President. He sneered, "Do you want to come here yourself or do you want me to personally capture you?" The moment he said this, the crowd was stunned. Amongst them included the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect. They originally thought that the people from the beast-taming King's Valley were coming for them. Who would have thought that they were here for this young girl? Everyone looked at Luo Qingtong. The Grand Dean and Bai Suqing were also shocked. They immediately looked at Luo Qingtong. The Grand Supreme Dean lowered his voice and said, "Hey, evil doctor, how did you offend this group of evil spirits?" The Grand Supreme Dean probably couldn't figure it out even if he racked his brains. Luo Qingtong didn't just offend the other party. She had turned the entire beast-taming King Valley upside down. Chapter 1993. Then the Celestial Palace would definitely not let go of Luo Qingtong. At that time, the matter of the treasure map would be leaked. If the people of beast-taming King's Valley did not know about the treasure map, then so be it. Now that they knew that the map was most likely with Luo Qingtong, how could they let the matter rest? Naturally, they would want to get their hands on the map. Otherwise, wouldn't they have taken the blame for nothing? Beast-taming King Guguju looked at Luo Qingtong with a ferocious expression. Fang Jingyu, who was beside him, turned her gaze to Yi Chenxian, who was beside Luo Qingtong. Was this masked man the handsome man who took Luo Qingtong away from the secret place in the back mountain that day? If he was, as long as he was willing to be with her, she could ask her father and the others to spare his life. From Fang Jingyu's point of view, Yi Chenxian and Luo Qingtong were able to leave safely that day because they had caught beast-taming King Guguju and the others off guard. Coupled with the assistance of the protective mountain array, they were able to achieve such a result. However, if beast-taming King Guguju and the others were serious and did not give him any chance, he would not have any chance of winning. After all, under the siege of a group of demonic beasts that day, this man was already somewhat unable to hold on. Was that not the case? Fang Jingyu did not know that it was because Yi Chenxian listened to Luo Qingtong's words and did not hurt the golden-winged great condor. That was why he seemed to be somewhat unable to hold on. She thought that Yi Chenxian was unable to defeat beast-taming King Guguju and the others. She looked at Yi Chenxian in a daze. The latter, on the other hand, looked at beast-taming King Guguju and the others with a cold gaze. Did they want to capture Luo Qingtong? They did not have the ability to do so. "Have you brought everyone from the Black Field over?" he asked Bei Qing and Feng Yu through telepathy. "I've brought them all." Master, there are close to 100 people at the Holy Venerate level and above. They are all near the fallen immortal land. Please rest assured, Master. Bei Qing and Feng Yu hurriedly said. Before this, Yi Qianxian had ordered them to bring the Blackfield's strongest forces from the True Spill continent to the hidden world. They had brought them to the vicinity of the fallen immortal land early in the morning. At that moment, the strength of those people was more than sufficient to sweep through everyone present. The people of Beast-Taming King's Valley wanted to make a move against Luo Qingtong. It was simply a pipe dream. If someone could injure their mistress right under their noses in such a low-level continent, they would be shocked. In that case, all of them could go eat shit. Yi Qianxian's eyes were cold. He did not even raise his head. He was too lazy to look at Beast-Taming King Guguju and the others. If the latter dared to make a move, it would be their doomsday. In the Sky Yuan sect's team, Qin Tong was ecstatic. He had been looking for an opportunity to deal with Luo Qingtong and the Grand Dean. He did not expect that before the fallen immortal land, he would get such a great opportunity. Thinking of this, he could not wait to open his mouth and say, Beast-Taming King Guguju, are you mistaken? He said hypocritically, Miss Luo Qingtong is our Sky Yuan sect's honorary guest elder. She used to be a person of the secular world. How could she have a grudge with the people of Beast-Taming King's Valley? I'm afraid this is a misunderstanding, he said. This can't be a misunderstanding. Luo Qingtong has a grudge with the people of Beast-Taming King's Valley. Chapter 1994. Beast-Tamer King Guguju's voice was cold when he saw that the Heavenly Yuan sect had the intention to interfere with Luo Qingtong's matter. His words were laced with a hint of threat. The Beast-Tamer King's Valley members behind him took a step forward, looking like they were about to make a move. Seeing this, the Heavenly Yuan sect members' faces turned ugly. The Beast-Tamer King's Valley members were too arrogant. However, the Beast-Tamer King's Valley members were indeed stronger than them. If they were to make a move, the Heavenly Yuan sect would definitely be at a disadvantage. The group couldn't understand. Luo Qingtong was a little girl from the secular world. How could she have a grudge with the Beast-Tamer King's Valley? The other party shouldn't have had the opportunity to come into contact with the Beast-Tamer King's Valley members. While the Heavenly Yuan sect members were thinking, Qin Tong spoke again hypocritically. Hey wait, how can the Beast-Tamer King's Valley be so impulsive? Luo Qingtong, Miss Luo, how do you think this matter should be resolved? He looked in the direction of Luo Qingtong with a mocking expression. His gaze swept past Luo Qingtong, Yi Qianxian, and the Grand Supreme Dean. Come out yourself and have a good talk with the Beast-Tamer King Guguju and the others. See what's going on? Otherwise, our Heavenly Yuan sect members will have a hard time. We can't implicate the entire sect because of your matter, right? Don't you think so? Qin Tong's words instantly enraged the Grand Supreme Dean. That treacherous bastard. He cursed in his heart. What was the difference between Qin Tong's words and asking Luo Qingtong to come out herself for the Beast-Tamer King's Valley to deal with? He clearly knew that the Beast-Tamer King's Valley members wanted to capture Luo Qingtong, but he still asked her to come out herself to talk with them. Could it be that if she didn't do anything wrong, the Beast-Tamer King's Valley would give up on capturing her? He even said that because of her matter, the entire sect would be implicated. What nonsense was he spouting? Luo Qingtong clearly had a deal with the Heavenly Yuan sect to help them resolve the power from the Forbidden Area. The Heavenly Yuan sect members originally had an obligation to protect her. What did he mean by implicated? The Grand Principal couldn't bear it anymore. He rolled up his sleeves and was about to rush out to fight, but was stopped by Luo Qingtong. She already had a plan in mind, so she didn't need the Grand Supreme Dean to stand up for her. It's fine. I do have a grudge with the Beast-Taming King's Valley. This grudge can't be resolved, so don't interfere. Luo Qingtong looked indifferent. She thought very clearly. Originally, she would have thought of a way to separate herself from the Sky Yuan sect after entering the fallen immortal land. After all, she had too many secrets and it was not suitable for her to travel with the people of the Sky Yuan sect. Moreover, she had a lot of things to do, so it was not suitable for her to go with the Heavenly Yuan sect. The only reason he made the deal with the Sky Yuan sect was to make it easier for Suyu and the others. The people from the Beast-Taming King's Valley were here for her. There was no need to involve the people from the Heavenly Branch. Little girl, what are you talking about? You've helped me and my wife so much. Your business is our business. What are you talking about? The Grand Supreme Dean blew his beard and glared at her. Luo Qingtong said it lightly. She was alone. Even if she had Yi Qianxian with her, she didn't need to fear the people from the Beast-Taming King's Valley. However, didn't she need to enter the fallen immortal land? And what would she do in the future? Would she have to hide from the people from the beast-taming King's Valley? The other party couldn't do anything to her. What if they attacked the True Spill continent? Chapter 1995. It's fine, you don't have to worry. Your Sky Yuan sect really can't do anything about this. You don't have to be stubborn with me, I know what I'm doing. Luo Qingtong's gaze swept past Qin Tong, who was already stirring up the crowd of disciples. The other party was waiting for the Grand Supreme Dean to jump out to protect her. At that time, the Grand Supreme Dean's position in the Sky Yuan sect would be unstable, and he would be able to harvest people's hearts. Luo Qingtong was clear in her heart that unless the Grand Supreme Dean revealed that she could transform the forbidden energy, and even purify the immortal jade bone. Otherwise, if they defended her like this, it would definitely incur the dissatisfaction of a portion of the Sky Yuan sect. Moreover, even if she pulled in the Sky Yuan sect, they might not be able to deal with the people from beast-taming King's Valley. Why would Luo Qingtong do this? Thinking of this, she immediately stood out. That's right, this is a matter between me and beast-taming King's Valley, it has nothing to do with the Sky Yuan sect. Beast-taming King Guguju, don't use this as a pretext to make a fuss. Luo Qingtong stood out, startling the Sky Yuan sect master. Others might not know about Luo Qingtong's ability and value, but he was very clear about it. Just a moment ago he was discussing with a group of elders that they must protect Luo Qingtong, but he didn't expect the latter to directly stand out. He was about to stop her when he heard Luo Qingtong raise her voice. Aren't you people from beast-taming King's Valley trying to cover up the treasure map, so you want to silence me? Why do you have to find so many reasons? Everyone, I am Night Eye, the so-called traitor of beast-taming King's Valley. I can prove that the treasure map is in the hands of beast-taming King's Valley. As Luo Qingtong's voice sounded, she raised her hand and wiped her face. Suddenly her face changed. When the crowd heard her words, their hearts were in an uproar. Night Eye? The traitor of beast-taming King's Valley? Hey, how do you know that she's a traitor? Wasn't it the people from beast-taming King's Valley who said it themselves? That's right, I think the beast-taming King's Valley used up all the people and found out that the matter was leaked, so they wanted to silence everyone. That's right. Previously, when people from the Celestial Palace went to their valley to interrogate them, they still refused to admit it and said that Night Eye was a traitor. He said that this was all done by the other party and that it had nothing to do with their beast-taming King Valley. And the result? Just now, they obviously wanted to hide it from everyone and get Luo Qingtong to their side. And you're still saying that it wasn't premeditated and that you wanted to silence him. That's right. The crowd whispered to each other. As for the beast-tamer King Guguju and the others, they were so angry that they almost vomited blood. They deliberately didn't reveal Luo Qingtong's identity because they wanted the map of the Graveyard of Immortals. Unexpectedly, Luo Qingtong, who should be more afraid of her identity being exposed than anyone else, took the initiative to expose her own identity. Not only that, she even made a false accusation. The mood of the people from beast-taming King's Valley instantly turned sour. As for the beast-tamer King Guguju, he raised his hand and pointed at Luo Qingtong. Blood rushed to his forehead as he angrily said, "You?" Before he could finish his words, Luo Qingtong already said with a face full of righteousness, "I'm a traitor." That's right, Valley Master, you've treated me very well and my kindness is as heavy as a mountain. But you want to kill me, you can't expect me to not tell the truth, right? For the sake of our beast-taming King's Valley, I've endured enough. Previously, when the rumors were flying everywhere, I didn't even stand up to say a word about beast-taming King's Valley. If you didn't see through my disguise today and wanted to kill me without giving me a chance, I wouldn't have stood up to expose you. Now, don't think of stopping me from telling the truth. Chapter 1996. As soon as Luo Qingtong spoke, beast-tamer King Guguju couldn't take it anymore. He stomped his foot and charged towards Luo Qingtong. "Shut up, bitch. How dare you slander our beast-tamer valley?" Beast-tamer King Guguju was furious. If he'd known that this bitch was so cunning, he wouldn't have thought of getting her to his side before torturing her. He should have done it directly. She wouldn't even have had a chance to speak. Let's see how she's going to slander us. Beast-tamer King Guguju couldn't hold back his anger and charged towards Luo Qingtong. Seeing this, Yi Qinshin's eyes turned cold. The light under his sleeves was 70% contained and 30% ready to be released. He was about to wave it out. At this moment, Luo Qingtong pressed the back of his hand. "It's okay," she whispered into his ear. His gaze swept past the crowd gathered at the entrance to the land of the deceased immortals and looked towards a certain place behind them. Bang! As the beast-taming King Valley's Valley Master moved, an attack suddenly appeared in front of him, blocking his path and forcing him to retreat. Beast-tamer King Guguju, why are you in such a hurry to make a move? Even if you want to silence her, isn't it a little too late now? Following this cold voice, a group of people walked in from the periphery of the land of the deceased immortals. This group of people was none other than the people from Celestial Palace and Star Alliance. The aura around the person walking at the front was vast and majestic. It was much stronger than the aura of everyone else present. He was surrounded by the aura of laws, and the blooming and dying of the 10,000 flowers seemed to be within it. He was the one who launched the attack just now. An exalted realm expert. Seeing the fluctuation of his aura, the people around him were all shocked. An exalted realm expert. This person's identity was obviously the Palace Master of Star Alliance. It's the Palace Master of Star Alliance. The Palace Master of Star Alliance actually came out in person this time. It seems that the treasures in the land of the deceased immortals are indeed coveted. Yes. The Palace Master of Star Alliance was sent by the Star Alliance to be in charge of guarding these continents. Normally, he wouldn't appear in the hidden world in order to better temper his strength and improve himself. He actually came out in person this time. Everyone looked at the Palace Master of Star Alliance in shock. Beside him was the Palace Master of Star Alliance's the Palace Master of Star Alliance. Everyone took a rough look and saw that there were no less than 10 peak holy venerables. There were dozens of them exalted X as well. At this moment he was respectfully following behind the Star Alliance Palace Master as he walked over. Beside them were the Celestial Palace's people who were flattering the Palace Master of Star Alliance. Luo Qingtong immediately winked at Yi Qianxian when she saw this group of people. See, I told you it's fine. They just needed to watch the show. At this moment, the Palace Master of Celestial Palace was looking at the Beast Tamer King Guguju, who was stopped by the Palace Master of Star Alliance. Beast Tamer King Guguju, your Beast Tamer King Valley probably didn't expect your lies to be exposed one day, right? Hand over our Celestial Palace's treasure map. We've already offered that to the Star Alliance's palace. Chapter 1997. Bulsh *T evidence in hand. When Beast Tamer King Guguju heard this, he was so angry that he couldn't suppress the sweet and fishy taste in his throat and spat it out. He pointed at Luo Qingtong and shouted, "She framed our Beast Tamer Valley. Do you think we're all blind? You clearly recognized her identity, why didn't you say anything?" The Celestial Palace Lord sneered. Beast Tamer King Guguju thought they were 3 years old. As soon as they arrived at the entrance, they heard them asking the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect for the person they wanted. They didn't mention that Luo Qingtong was Night Eye at all. If the other party didn't reveal her identity, they wouldn't know why they suddenly asked for a girl from the Sky Yuan sect. The Beast Taming King's Valley's trick was well executed. They probably thought that Luo Qingtong had shouldered all the crimes for the Beast Taming King Valley's kindness in the past, so she wouldn't dare to reveal her identity. Who knew that the girl would throw caution to the wind? The Celestial Palace Lord sneered. Beast Tamer King Guguju was almost angered to death. He did hide that Luo Qingtong was Naitai's identity, but it wasn't for the reason that the Celestial Palace Lord thought. This time he really couldn't clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Beast Tamer King Guguju was so angry that he gasped for breath. At this time, the Star Alliance Temple Lord opened his mouth. Beast Tamer King Guguju, it's useless to say more. His voice was cold. The Beast Taming King's Valley was clearly treating them like fools. Previously, he had the Star Alliance Temple Lord go to Beast Tamer Valley and ask them to make peace with Celestial Palace, giving him face. But the people of Beast Taming King's Valley kept saying that they didn't have any treasure map. At that time he didn't have any evidence, so he couldn't do anything to the Beast Taming King's Valley. But now, since the people from Beast Taming King's Valley didn't have the treasure map, why would they go to such lengths to kill a young girl? And he still dared to say that he didn't kill him to silence him? He had heard of Night Eye before. He was indeed one of the disciples that the Beast Tamer King Guguju valued greatly. In just a short period of time she had changed from loving him to wanting to kill him. And it happened when the people of Celestial Palace were threatened and came to him for help. Who would believe that there was nothing fishy going on? The Beast Taming King's Valley actually treated him like a fool. Then don't blame him for not giving them any face. Return the treasure map of the Celestial Palace. Otherwise, bang. As the Star Alliance Hall Master waved his sleeve, the entire mountain peak in the distance suddenly collapsed. From top to bottom, it was as if it had been flattened by an invisible force, toppling mountains and overturning seas, moving mountains and leveling the earth. It really happened in the blink of an eye, and there wasn't a single residue left on the huge mountain peak. It was as if it had completely disappeared into thin air. It was clearly turned into nothingness under the attack of the Star Alliance Hall Master. Seeing such strength, the surrounding people all sucked in a breath of air. And Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed, also looking at the Star Alliance Hall Master. The strength of the Venerable Realm actually had such power? Qianren, can you do it? Luo Qingtong pulled Yi Qianxian's sleeve and whispered to him. The man glanced at her. These words were simply an insult to his strength. The corners of Beiqing and Feng Yu's lips twitched as they listened. Chapter 1998. However, the barrier of this low-level continent was too weak. More than half of their strength was suppressed. They couldn't display their full strength here, otherwise this continent's barrier wouldn't be able to withstand it. While Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian were whispering to each other, Beast Tamer King Guguju was in an extremely difficult situation because of her. The Star Alliance Palace Master wanted him to hand over the treasure map of the land of the deceased immortals, but he didn't have this treasure map in his hands. If he was not wrong, the real map should be in Luo Qingtong's hands. But the most hateful thing was that bitch. So that no one would believe his words. Even if Beast Tamer King Guguju said that the treasure map was in her hands and wanted to make a move on her, the Star Alliance Palace Master would have already made a move on him before he could do anything. Thinking of this, Beast Tamer King Guguju's expression was extremely ugly. If he knew that Luo Qingtong would make such a false accusation, he definitely wouldn't have been greedy for the treasure map of the land of the deceased immortals. He definitely would have exposed this woman's identity and made public what she did. Damn it. This time he was really going to be screwed over by this bitch. The people of Sky Yuan sect also didn't expect such a turn of events and development. Sky Yuan sect master originally wanted to stop Luo Qingtong and stop her from stepping out. However, he was a step too late. After hearing Luo Qingtong expose her identity, he didn't say anything. The girl had her own plans, he could feel it. The Grand Dean and Bai Suqing were also very surprised. Especially the Grand Dean, his mouth was wide open. He didn't know that Luo Qingtong was the recently popular Night Eye. This girl, when did she become so popular in the hidden world? Moreover, she was so daring. One must know that the name Night Eye was very popular in the hidden world. Beast Tamer King Valley's people were looking for her everywhere. The people of the Celestial Palace also said that if they found her, they would not let her off easily. What Night Eye had done in the Beast Taming King Valley was still the subject of gossip in the hidden world. This girl was doing so well in the hidden world that even he, the Supreme Dean, felt ashamed. As for Chen Tong, he clenched his teeth as he looked at the scene that was completely different from what he had expected. Bastard Luo Qingtong is actually that Night Eye. He had pushed her out because he wanted her to be captured by the Beast Taming King's Valley, but who would have thought that she would be fine? Why was this B*TCH so lucky? Just as Chen Tong's heart was filled with hatred, Fang Jingyu, whose smile froze on her face due to Luo Qingtong's sudden reversal, suddenly spoke. Night Eye. She coldly called out Luo Qingtong's name. This B*TCH had ruined her looks and crippled her body. Now she even wanted to use the Star Alliance Palace and Celestial Palace to deal with them. How could she let her have her way? Even if Fang Jingyu were to throw caution to the wind, she wouldn't let her have an easy time. Don't you know why our Beast Taming King's Valley is chasing you and hiding your identity? That's right. She looked at the Star Alliance Palace Master and said in a deep voice, that treasure map is indeed in our hands. The moment Fang Jingyu's words came out, Beast Taming King Guguju was instantly enraged. Fang Jingyu, what nonsense are you talking about? Chapter 2000. Yi Qianxian's expression was indifferent. He looked at Luo Qingtong with a faint smile, but when he looked at Fang Jingyu and the others, his eyes were full of coldness. He made a slight gesture under his sleeves. Beiqing and Feng Yu understood and immediately began to send out signals to mobilize the experts of the Black Field outside. As for Fang Jingyu, after Luo Qingtong said that she had won this round, her heart was already wild with joy. Ah! Luo Qingtong, I knew you wouldn't dare to bet. She had indeed made the right bet. Luo Qingtong really didn't dare to swear on this man. However, Fang Jingyu still felt some regret in her heart. After all, Luo Qingtong didn't swear on Yi Qianxian, so she couldn't drive a wedge between the two of them. But it didn't matter, Luo Qingtong's death was the same. Thinking so, Fang Jingyu suddenly smiled proudly and proudly. That smile was full of malice. So, you're admitting that everything you said before was a lie? That's right. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent. She crossed her arms and looked at Fang Jingyu in front of her, the corners of her mouth raised slightly, and her tone was indescribably casual. I did deliberately frame your beast-taming King Valley. As soon as Luo Qingtong's words came out, the surrounding crowd instantly went into an uproar. Luo Qingtong deliberately framed beast-taming King Valley? Did that mean that the beast-taming King Valley's Valley Master was telling the truth? She deliberately sneaked into beast-taming King Valley, gained their trust, and then turned beast-taming King Valley upside down, and then went to Celestial Palace to frame beast-taming King Valley. All of this was done by her? Everyone felt a burst of disbelief in their hearts. How old was Luo Qingtong? And her strength? Everyone looked at the aura rippling from Luo Qingtong's body. She was clearly in the Saint King realm. How did she manage to do that? Everyone's expression was shocked. Beast-taming King Gu Guju also reacted at this time. Ah, bitch, you finally admitted it. Beast-taming King Gu Guju's heart was indescribably proud and elated. This be***tc. She had plotted against him to the point where he couldn't even defend himself. Now she finally admitted that she was the one who framed the beast-taming King's Valley. Beast-taming King Gu was hard excited. Jingyu, well done. He laughed loudly. Then he looked at Luo Qingtong ferociously and asked, not only did you frame us, but you also have the treasure map of the land of the deceased immortals, right? The beast-taming King Valley Master's face darkened. He had been the scapegoat for so long, and now the truth of the matter was finally going to be revealed. Yes. Luo Qingtong's lips curled up. She nodded. The treasure map is indeed in my hands. Luo Qingtong knew that after she admitted to framing beast-taming King Valley, the whereabouts of the treasure map could not be hidden. Chapter 2001. While everyone was still in shock, the Palace Master of Celestial Palace opened his mouth. You mean to say that you killed all of us from the Celestial Palace? Were you the one who snatched the treasure map? His face was as dark as water. If all of this was done by Luo Qingtong, then what did they, the people of Celestial Palace, miss out on? If they had known earlier, they would have kept the girl when she came to deliver the treasure to frame Beast-Taming Valley. Then there wouldn't have been so much trouble. As for that treasure map, it could only be enjoyed by the Supreme Celestial Palace. Thinking of this, the Palace Master of Celestial Palace was vexed and unable to control himself. It was as if he was about to be drowned by the tide. He looked at Luo Qingtong with a dark expression. The latter only looked at him with a light smile. That's right. Luo Qingtong nodded. I killed all of you from Celestial Palace, including Elder Xie and the 3 disciples and protectors you sent later. As soon as Luo Qingtong said this, the Palace Master of Celestial Palace's expression became incomparably ferocious. Luo Qingtong's words confirmed that she had indeed killed the people of Celestial Palace. Otherwise, she wouldn't have known the number of people they sent later like the back of her hand. Bitch, it really was you. The Palace Master of Celestial Palace's expression was ugly. He had never thought that he would be fooled by a young girl. The other party was playing with the people of Celestial Palace and Beast-Taming Valley like monkeys. This was simply unbearable. Hand over the treasure map. Otherwise you'll die without a burial place. He shouted angrily, looking at Luo Qingtong with eyes full of murderous intent. Obviously, even if Luo Qingtong handed over the treasure map, he wouldn't let her go. Being toyed with like a fool was a great humiliation. Not to mention that Luo Qingtong forced them to announce the treasure map to the public and even promised to give it to the Palace Master of Star Alliance. One must know that they could have taken the treasure map for themselves. The Palace Master of Celestial Palace's heart was bleeding. The people of Beast-Taming Valley were also closing in on Luo Qingtong coldly. Not for anything else, but the fact that the other party had played and framed them, and even spied on the secrets of Beast-Taming Valley. Now that the truth was out, they had to kill Luo Qingtong. Seeing the 2 sects closing in on Luo Qingtong, the Grand Supreme Dean's heart pounded rapidly. What do we do? Why is this evil doctor's brain so slow now? If you don't want to swear, then don't. Why do you admit to these things? Just don't confess to die. We're finished. The Grand Dean was so anxious that he was fuming. Both sects wanted to kill Luo Qingtong, especially with the Star Alliance behind Celestial Palace. We're finished. Even if the Sky Yuan sect intervened, they wouldn't be able to help her. The Grand Dean was so anxious that he was on fire. Su Yu and the others were also in an uproar. However, looking at Yi Qianming beside Luo Qingtong, their hearts calmed down. Luo Qingtong never did things that she wasn't sure of. They believed in their master. What's more, Ming Zun's identity was extraordinary and he was powerful. He would never let anything happen to their master. As long as Luo Qingtong was fine, they had nothing to fear. Everyone thought so and immediately suppressed the worry in their hearts, as well as the urge to rush out. Chapter 2002. Boom. The black fog that enveloped the land of the fallen immortals behind them suddenly began to tumble. As the last wave of aura erupted from the land of the fallen immortals, a vast and violent power surged out from the land of the fallen immortals. Then the power of the aura dropped to the lowest point. The aura of the entire land of the fallen immortals was almost gone. The land of the fallen immortals opened. Swoosh. The aura of the land of the fallen immortals surged. Luo Qingtong's eyes lit up. She looked at the people from Beast Taming Valley and Celestial Palace who were closing in on her. Her lips curled up and she held the man's face and kissed him on the lips. Wait for me to come back. As she spoke, she leaped into the air. Her laughter was like a silver bell that reverberated in the air. People from Beast Taming Valley and Celestial Palace, I'll be leaving first. You don't have to see me off. As she spoke, Luo Qingtong's figure instantly rushed toward the aura of the land of the fallen immortals. In an instant, she disappeared from everyone's sight. Damn it, go after her. Beast Taming King Guguju and the others were furious. No one expected the aura of the land of the fallen immortals to suddenly weaken at this moment. This gave Luo Qingtong an opportunity to take advantage of it. Bastard. The group chased after her into the land of the fallen immortals. When the people from the hidden world saw the land of the fallen immortals open, they couldn't be bothered to watch the show anymore. They all rushed toward the land of the fallen immortals. The land of the fallen immortals opened for a limited time each time. They couldn't waste time for nothing. It would be troublesome if someone else took the initiative. The group rushed toward the land of the fallen immortals, blocking the people from Beast Taming Valley and Celestial Palace from chasing after Luo Qingtong. The latter and the others were flustered and exasperated. Get out of my way. Beast Tamer King Guguju, Supreme Elder, Celestial Palace Master, and the others all released their auras, shaking off the people around them and chasing after Luo Qingtong. When the Grand Supreme Dean and Bai Suqing saw this, they immediately led the people from the Sky Yuan sect and rushed towards them. Hey. Make way. The land of the fallen immortals is not owned by your two families. Don't be so overbearing. The Grand Supreme Dean put on an act and led the people of the Sky Yuan sect to block the path of the Beast Tamer King Guguju and the Grand Supreme Elder. When the Sky Yuan sect master and the others saw this, the corners of their lips twitched. When they thought of Luo Qingtong's ability, they immediately rushed in the direction of the Beast Tamer King Guguju and the Grand Supreme Elder, blocking the people from Celestial Palace. When the group of people made such a scene, the Beast Tamer King Guguju, the Grand Supreme Dean, and the Celestial Palace Master lost the initiative. Bastard. When they rushed into the land of the fallen immortals and did not see Luo Qingtong, the Beast Tamer King Guguju and the Celestial Palace Master were so angry that they gritted their teeth. Did you people from the Sky Yuan sect do this on purpose? They looked at the Sky Yuan sect master and the others angrily. Hey, how can you talk like that? What did we do on purpose? The Grand Supreme Dean said seriously, we also want to enter the land of the fallen immortals. Are you the only ones allowed to enter? What a joke. The Grand Supreme Dean sneered at them, which made the Beast Tamer King Guguju and the Celestial Palace Master furious. Yi Qianxian was not in the mood to deal with other people, nor did he want to expose his identity at this time. Everything would have to wait until Luo Qingtong came back. Yes. Bei Qing, Feng Yu, and the others heard the order and immediately gestured to the experts from the Black Field, who had already approached the entrance of the land of the deceased immortals, to retreat. After receiving the order, the latter and the others immediately retreated silently and quickly left this place. Their movements were fast and silent. The members of the Star Alliance Hall did not sense anything wrong. Swoosh. In the land of the deceased immortals, Luo Qingtong's figure flitted quickly. The fog around her was thick. This dark fog was so thick that one could not see their fingers in front of their face. Moreover, it was extremely corrosive. But at this moment, The aura in the land of the deceased immortals had weakened. The dark black fog had also become much lighter. Chapter 2004. However, it was still very dangerous in the land of the deceased immortals at such a distance. Because if they encountered any sudden danger, such a short distance was not enough for the cultivators to dodge. However, this was not a problem for Luo Qingtong at all. The blood-red pupils in her eyes opened. In an instant, the surroundings of the land of the deceased immortals appeared in her eyes in a special 3D form amidst the flickering enchanting blood-red light. The surrounding black fog, which even the divine consciousness of a holy venerable could not penetrate, was completely visible to her at a glance. It was not an obstacle at all. Luo Qingtong's figure moved quickly in the thick fog. At this moment, swoosh. Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air came from the front. Then a figure suddenly appeared in front of Luo Qingtong. "Evil doctor, why are you here? Quick, come with me." The figure who suddenly appeared looked very anxious. That face belonged to the Grand Supreme Dean. After he said those words, he raised his hand to grab Luo Qingtong's hand. Luo Qingtong looked at his hand and narrowed her eyes slightly. She looked at the Grand Supreme Dean and smiled. "All right, Grand Supreme Dean, let's go." As she spoke, she took the initiative to extend her hand to him. Slap. Just as the Grand Supreme Dean was about to grab Luo Qingtong's wrist, the girl turned her wrist and grabbed his hand. At the same time, Luo Qingtong's other hand was holding the life and death yin-yang sword. She raised her hand and blocked in front of her. Clang. The sound of metal hitting metal was heard. In front of Luo Qingtong's chest, an extremely sharp hand with 4 to 5 feet long fingernails and covered with blood-red hair was blocked by the life and death yin-yang sword in Luo Qingtong's hand. The blood-red fingernails on the hand hit the life and death yin-yang sword in Luo Qingtong's hand hard, causing the black and white long sword to bend backward. Then with a boom, Luo Qingtong's aura erupted. In an instant, the life and death yin-yang sword in her hand erupted with an extremely powerful force. A pure white light was already brewing in the long sword when Luo Qingtong raised her hand to block in front of her. At this moment, it fiercely slashed at the blood-red figure who kept screaming in front of her. At this moment, the Grand Supreme Dean was nowhere to be seen in front of Luo Qingtong. There was only a highly decomposed corpse. The corpse was covered with livor mortis spots and blood-red hair. Looking at the clothes on its body, it was obviously a member of the sects in the hidden world that had entered the land of the deceased immortals. At this moment, it was screaming sharply, trying to dodge Luo Qingtong's attack. However, one of its hands was grabbed by Luo Qingtong, and the other hand was blocked by Luo Qingtong just now. There was no way for it to dodge or resist. Bang. Luo Qingtong's attack hit its body hard. Annihilation. Following Luo Qingtong's voice, the blood-red corpse suddenly screamed and was split in half by Luo Qingtong's attack. However, just as the corpse was split in half, an invisible blood-red figure suddenly rushed out from it. Screech. Chapter 2005. Then a tyrannical wave of psychic power fiercely pierced Luo Qingtong's mind like a steel needle. At the same time, the illusory crimson figure pounced on her. A psychic attack? Sensing the tyrannical wave of psychic power piercing her mind, Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows slightly. She was about to mobilize the psychic power in her mind. At this moment, the psychic power that pierced her mind was shattered with a bang. Little Pig's groaning voice rang out. "How dare any Tom, Dick, and Harry challenge my authority? Don't you know that your Grandpa Pig isn't a vegetarian?" In Luo Qingtong's mind, the tyrannical psychic power that pierced her mind was like a small stream that was swept into the waves of the ocean. It was powerlessly devoured by an even more violent and vast psychic power. That was the tyrannical willpower of Little Pig's body. His strength was sealed, but his psychic power and willpower were still there. Luo Qingtong's mind was his territory. Whoever attacked her would die. Bang. The psychic power attack launched by the illusory crimson figure was shattered. At the same time, the life and death sword in Luo Qingtong's hand changed its form in an instant. It directly struck the illusory crimson figure in front of her with a death blade annihilation. Screech. Under the attack of Luo Qingtong's death blade, the illusory crimson figure shrieked sharply. Then with a bang it turned into ashes. At the same time, in a place not far from Luo Qingtong, there was a loud bang. The ground exploded and dark red blood gushed out. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows slightly. She leaped over and waved the life and death sword in her hand. With a flick of the sword, she picked up the object under the dark red blood. Immortal jade bone? Luo Qingtong looked at the object that she had picked up with a surprised expression. She raised her hand and held the immortal jade bone in her hand. This immortal jade bone was completely different from the immortal jade bones she had seen before. This immortal jade bone was blood red in color. It was dark red in color and blood was still gushing out of it. Not only that, but the dark gray aura lingering around it was also very dense, almost black. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows as she looked at the immortal jade bone. Was it behind the bloody figure just now? Blood immortal jade bone? It seems that the blood-red figure just now was created by it. At this moment, Little Pig appeared in front of Luo Qingtong. Its 4 little hooves stepped on Luo Qingtong's shoulders, and one of its little hooves poked the immortal jade bone. The situation in the land of the fallen immortals is special. There are countless amounts of deathly chi inside. These immortal jade bones contain the will of countless foreign experts. It's not strange for them to be nourished and take form under such circumstances. That corpse was probably controlled by it? Yes. Luo Qingtong nodded. That was what she thought too. The Heavenly Yuan sect's records about the land of the fallen immortals also mentioned this kind of corpse attack. Generally, when a sect's team encountered such a situation, almost no one survived. Only extremely powerful experts would be able to escape by luck. Chapter 2006. Luo Qingtong noticed that the blood-colored figure that had rushed out after being split open by her had been completely illusory. If she hadn't had the blood eye, she wouldn't have been able to see it. If the other sects in the hidden world encountered this blood-colored figure, they probably wouldn't even know of its existence, let alone kill it. So no one had discovered the existence of this blood-colored immortal jade bone all this time? Luo Qingtong immediately sized up this blood-colored immortal jade bone as she pondered this. She discovered that the power within it was much more vigorous and dense than that of ordinary immortal jade bones. This immortal jade bone was clearly of Saint King quality, but it seemed to have the aura of a Saint Emperor's strength. Could the ancient heavenly spirit would purify the aura within this blood-colored immortal jade bone? As Luo Qingtong thought of this, she immediately opened the useless ring in her hand. Swoosh. As soon as Luo Qingtong opened the trash ring in her hand, the ancient heavenly spirit wood's leaves impatiently swept out and swept up the blood-colored immortal jade bone. Buzz buzz buzz. As the blood-colored immortal jade bone was swept up, it suddenly trembled violently. Clearly there was indeed some consciousness left within it. The blood-colored figure just now had been conjured by it. This blood-colored immortal jade bone kept trembling under the ancient heavenly spirit wood's aura. It was obvious that it was trying to resist something. However, the ancient heavenly spirit would fed on the power of soul intent. Its resistance was completely useless as it was swept up by the ancient heavenly spirit wood in an instant. Then the ancient heavenly spirit would absorbed a dark gray aura that was almost black. Soon, the aura within the blood-colored immortal jade bone became incomparably pure and clear. It was even overflowing with rich blood energy. This aura was naturally the blood energy of the cultivators that the figure conjured by the blood-colored immortal jade bone had killed. This blood energy could increase a cultivator's combat strength. It was the existence of this blood energy that allowed this Saint King blood-colored immortal jade bone to possess the aura of a Saint Emperor. Luo Qingtong's eyes lit up. She knew that in the land of the fallen immortals, immortal jade bones above the Saint King realm were not easy to come by. Furthermore, it was only when the immortal jade bones were spat out that everyone would be able to obtain them. In the land of the fallen immortals, one would have to rely on luck to obtain them. The place with the most immortal jade bones was the center of the fallen immortal land. That was where the great battle had broken out. However, no one dared to approach that place, let alone enter to search for the immortal jade bones. Chapter 2007. She's here. I see her. Following this voice, with a swoosh, a group of figures suddenly appeared behind Luo Qingtong and surrounded her. Luo Qingtong, you can't run now, can you? Luo Qingtong raised an eyebrow when she heard the voice. Fang Jingyu. She looked at the group of people in front of her. Apart from Fang Jingyu, the rest were all from Celestial Palace. They were all around the Holy Emperor realm. Standing with Fang Jingyu was a Celestial Palace elder who was a Holy Emperor. At this moment, Fang Jingyu was standing beside him, gritting her teeth as she looked at Luo Qingtong. The light in her eyes was both smug and venomous. Luo Qingtong, do you think you've escaped from us? Unfortunately, you won't be able to. She sneered at the rays of light that surrounded Luo Qingtong. Those were the rays of light that the people of Beast Tamer Valley could only see after they cultivated a special technique. In the entire Beast Taming King's Valley, only the upper echelons were qualified to practice this technique. And Fang Jingyu was one of those people who had the qualifications to cultivate. When Luo Qingtong had rushed into the land of the deceased immortals, most of the people from Celestial Palace and Beast Tamer Valley had been stopped. Among them, those from Beast Tamer Valley had been the most closely watched. Because Fang Jingyu was disabled and disfigured, she hadn't been noticed. She had followed closely behind Luo Qingtong into the land of the deceased immortals. A group of people from Celestial Palace had also chased her into the land of the deceased immortals. However, the moment they entered the land of the deceased immortals, they lost sight of Luo Qingtong. But Fang Jingyu could see her. She immediately ordered the people from Celestial Palace to lead her in the direction of Luo Qingtong. Because they had caught up in time, Luo Qingtong hadn't shaken them off. However, the more they chased, the more frightened they became. Luo Qingtong's ability was too shocking. She was completely unaffected by the fog in the land of the deceased immortals. The people from Celestial Palace had been carefully following Luo Qingtong from a distance at first, but when they realized that the girl was moving faster and faster, they were about to go crazy. They took a risk and increased their speed, only to find that there really wasn't any obstruction in the girl's direction. They moved forward according to Fang Jingyu's instructions and followed the path that Luo Qingtong took. They did not encounter any obstacles at all. Even so, the distance between them and Luo Qingtong was gradually increasing. If the girl hadn't suddenly stopped here, they probably wouldn't have been able to catch up with Luo Qingtong and could only watch her leave. Luo Qingtong. The Celestial Palace elder looked in Luo Qingtong's direction with a greedy expression and said coldly, "Hand over the map in your hands. And tell us how you managed to enter the land of the deceased immortals as if there was no one around. Otherwise, I'm afraid we'll make sure you die a horrible death." His face was cold and gloomy. His eyes roamed greedily over Luo Qingtong's body. All of a sudden, his eyes narrowed. This is... He looked in shock at the blood-colored celestial jade bone in Luo Qingtong's hand. He naturally knew what this piece of news meant. Once they got hold of this secret, their status in the Celestial Palace and even in the hidden world would rise. When that time came, they would definitely be able to obtain great benefits. As he thought about this, he looked at Luo Qingtong with even more desire. "Luo Qingtong, be a good girl and tell us everything you know. Perhaps we can consider leaving you with an intact corpse." Chapter 2009. As soon as he spoke, Fang Jingyu's cold laughter rang in his ears. She got off easy this time. As Fang Jingyu spoke, she glared at Luo Qingtong with a cold and vicious gaze. Her heart was filled with jealousy. Previously she thought she was about to lose Luo Qingtong. Why did she have so many trump cards and abilities? She had so many of them. Even in the land of the deceased immortals, she was different from others. Fang Jingyu was jealous. She was so jealous that Luo Qingtong was going crazy. Even as the daughter of the Beast Tamer King, Gu Guzhu, she didn't live as carefree and unrestrained as Luo Qingtong. The other party had faced the people of the two great sects alone, and after offending them, he had left in a carefree manner, calm and collected. How could she live so carefree and unrestrained? She was supposed to be the favored daughter of the heavens. The person who lived so proudly and willfully. Fang Jingyu's gaze was sinister. She looked at Luo Qingtong. Her gaze was like the spitting of a venomous snake. It was extremely vicious and ruthless. If she refuses to speak, then we'll tie her up in the land of the deceased immortals. You should know that once one loses the protection of the immortal jade bone in the land of the deceased immortals, they'll become walking corpses. Luo Qingtong, tell me, what if I make them take an aphrodisiac before they die? What do you think will happen to you? Fang Jingyu looked at Luo Qingtong with a sinister smile. Of course, even if Luo Qingtong told her, she would still deal with her in the same way. She would never tell Luo Qingtong this. How could she let Luo Qingtong off so easily? Luo Qingtong could only wait for her miserable death. Only by watching Luo Qingtong being ravaged by those corpses would she be able to vent the hatred in her heart. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows at Fang Jingyu when she heard her words. Little Pig, who was beside her, also jumped up at this moment. F***ck, isn't this woman's mind too sinister? Look at how ugly and crippled she is. No wonder she's a pervert. Little Pig muttered. Then he shouted at Fang Jingyu, "Hey, ugly woman! Are you jealous of my master's beauty? Is that why you're harming her like this? Even if you harm her like this, you won't become beautiful." As Little Pig spoke, he raised a hoof toward Fang Jingyu. It had no choice. It wanted to learn from Luo Qingtong and give her a thumbs down or something. But he couldn't do that pose as a hoof. However, it was enough to raise one hoof. Hearing Little Pig's words, Fang Jingyu exploded in anger. Who was the one who caused her to become like this? Wasn't it? Now, even the pig beside her was laughing at him. Fang Jingyu's as she Little Pig, calm. Jingyu? Just do as I say. Don't worry, I swear to the heavens that I will never reveal anything about her. I only want this woman dead. Fang Jingyu's voice was crazed. She didn't care if the people from Beast Taming King's Valley could get Luo Qingtong's secrets. She didn't care if the people from Celestial Palace wanted to monopolize the secrets. She only wanted Luo Qingtong dead. Nothing else mattered. Hearing her words, the people from Celestial Palace looked at each other. The elder from Celestial Palace waved his hand and said, "Do it." Indeed, it was too difficult to get an answer from Luo Qingtong's mouth. It was better to do as Fang Jingyu said. When they were about to make their move, Luo Qingtong finally opened her mouth with an indifferent expression. "P.S. I'm too sleepy to write. 7 chapters, for chapters guaranteed, 3 extra chapters. I'll continue during the day. Mwah. As usual, if I don't see any new chapters by noon, it'll be after 6 p.m. Chapter 2010. Are you done? The girl raised her eyebrows slightly. It wasn't anything special. But at this moment, on this beautiful face without any concealment, there was an enchanting charm that was completely different from others. Domineering, unrestrained, gorgeous, and enchanting. If you're done, then prepare to die. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold. She had stood there for so long, not to listen to their nonsense, but to be sure that no one else was following behind them. A sage emperor and more than 20 sage emperors. Is this what you're relying on? Her gaze swept across the group of Celestial Palace people who were charging at her, and Fang Jingyu, who had a complacent and ruthless expression on her face. With such strength, these people wanted to make her die a miserable death, or perhaps, make her suffer a fate worse than death? Luo Qingtong, you can continue to boast shamelessly and deliberately mystify as much as you can. After all, this is the only path you can take, isn't it? Fang Jingyu sneered. She listened to Luo Qingtong's words, but she wasn't moved at all. This woman was probably only left with such a scheming path, wasn't she? But at this moment, who could fall for her trick? Previously, when she toyed with the Beast Tamer Valley and Celestial Palace in the palm of her hand, people had already seen through her cunning nature. But now the people of Heavenly Yuan sect and that masked man weren't here, so who could save her? She would try her best to show off her cleverness and see if she could save her own life. Fang Jingyu's expression became more and more twisted and cold. She couldn't wait to see Luo Qingtong's panicked and desperate expression when she realized that her plan was no longer working. Her expression was sinister, and she treated all of Luo Qingtong's words as a deliberate threat. Little Pig, on the other hand, looked at her sympathetically. Idiot. He took back his previous words. This woman was more than ugly and crippled. She was clearly stupid. She was hopelessly stupid. She actually thought that Luo Qingtong's words were a threat so that they would let her live? What a strange way of thinking. It was true that Luo Qingtong was good at scheming, but not everyone was worthy of her scheming. These people from Celestial Palace didn't even have the qualifications to be used by her. Where did Fang Jingyu get her confidence from? How could she say such words? A face was a good thing, hopefully she would understand it. Luo Qingtong couldn't be bothered to listen to Fang Jingyu's words. She waved the long sword in her hand and said, "Little Pig, watch these people. Don't give them a chance to escape." As she spoke, she charged towards the people from the Celestial Palace who were charging towards her. Clang. The long sword in the young girl's hand made a clanging sound like a bell. The cold light on it was piercingly cold. It suddenly lit up, and the coldness was wanton. Boom. A stunning sword radiance shot out from Luo Qingtong's life and death dual swords and rushed towards the people from the Supreme Celestial Palace. First form of the heaven-conquering art, heaven seizing. Luo Qingtong's strength was enough to kill an ordinary Saint King realm expert when she was still a Saint Lord. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.